I'm Martha Higdon from quiltingbymartha.com. Today's tutorial is marking your quilt. So you've already pieced it and now you're deciding how do I want to quilt it. So there are many different things on the market that you can mark your quilts with. It's best that you try a few different ways to see which one works best for you. Sometimes it just depends on which quilt you're quilting is going to be better for marking your quilts. So let's go through a few that I have. Here is the Triangle Tailor's chalk. It was $1.90. So it's just a big piece of white chalk. So let's say I have a dark fabric of the blue, and then I have a stencil that I want to put on this dark blue. So basically what I'm using, I'm just taking my chalk and I'm going through where I want it. I'm going all the way around each. This is a little time consuming. So you might want to think, is that your best that you would want to do with this chalk? What you have to do is go around each. You want to make sure that you've got it all on there, because when we go to quilt it, you want to make sure that it stays on there and it's ready for when you go to quilt it, you can see where all the lines are. So then I can look around and think, I think I got it pretty good in my little design here. And then I would gently take that off, and as you can see, I have the design on my quilt. So that is with the chalk, and one way to put a design on your quilt. Another way is this. It's made by Clover, and it's a powder type fabric marker, and then they have the refiller markers that are refiller chalk that you could buy with it, and it's basically you just lift the top up, put the new one in that comes with the chalk underneath it. It has a little rotary thing there, so when you go here, you're going to go the same thing. You've got your stencil. You're going to go around each of the designs. Again, this is chalk, so it's nothing permanent. It's not going to stay. But what you want to do is you don't want to wait too long before you're quilting. So you want to maybe mark with this right before you're getting ready to quilt. This is a little bit faster and easier than the other chalk. Depends on your design. If you had a lot of movements, this would definitely work. So then you want to, before you remove the template, you want to make sure that you've got all the areas and that you can see the chalk. So when you move it over to the sewing machine, you want to make sure that the chalk is still there. So I'm looking, I pull up my stencil, and there's the dragonfly on the stencil. And you notice that I used white on a dark, and then the yellow is pretty good. It's going to work on a few different colors. Actually, it works pretty good on the dark blue as well. So the yellow chalk is a good choice. Here is the Washable Wonder marker. It's blue, and it makes a bright blue mark and easily removed with just plain water. So here on this one, again, I have my stencil, and then I'm going around each of the designs. And this is, again, time consuming. So you have to think about how much time you spend. All that time piecing, you want to at least spend that much time on marking your quilts before you go to quilt it. It is a long process, and you have to enjoy each of the steps. Quilting is very rewarding because you get to see your quilt come alive, but it takes some it takes a little bit of getting used to what you want on your quilt. You lift the stencil up, and then it's on your fabric. So, and there are other marking tools out there. I have a water erasable fabric marker. I have some washable cloth markers, a quilting clean eraser, and even a very fine 0.5 millimeter pencil that you can use on your quilt. And you would want to test these to make sure before you go mark an entire quilt. But this says it's removed by water. You would spray water to make sure that it comes right out. Here you would just want to dust off the chalk to make sure that it comes right off. So there are many more on the market of how to mark your quilt. This is just a few ways that you can mark your quilts. I hope this has inspired you to think some more about how you would quilt your quilt and to take the extra step of marking your quilts. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and look for more at quiltingbymartha.com.